Hi everyone, welcome to my podcast, welcome to my channel. This is episode 22 and I'm not really sure what I'm going to call it, but I'm thinking I might call it Confessions because I'm hoping to tell you some things that I haven't told you yet. Who knows? Let's see. I kind of hope I go off on tangents just because I think that will make it more interesting for you. My name is Shannon Bellum. This is my podcast. You can find me as Bellum Make on most of the interweb, on Instagram. I'm most active on Instagram. And I am also active on Ravelry, where I have a small little group of knitters that follow my podcast or follow my design shop. And I have, some small things going on over there. They're only small because the group is small. So, so welcome to my channel. Welcome new viewers and welcome returning viewers alike. It's been a couple weeks since I've podcasted. It's summertime and really just busier doing things outside and, more active with friends and family and also teaching. I'm a university professor for new viewers, you may not know, but I'm a university professor and I'm teaching summer school. I'm almost done. I have another week and a half of classes and I'll then be done teaching for the summer, and I'm hoping to get more work done on some of my design work and also on just knitting in general and also sewing. I do a little sewing. So this is a podcast about knitting mostly, some knit design, and about a little bit about sewing, just because that's what I'm up to these days. So let's get into the content. I am wearing my Nikama shawl, which I talked about in episode 19 if you're interested in learning more about it, but it is a worsted weight shawl of my own design. I am not going to talk to you about the yarns right now. The only reason I'm wearing it and showing it right now is just because I wanted to update you on where it's at. The pattern is not yet published, but it will be published, I'm hoping, around July 20th or so, between July 20th and the end of July. It should be out, and I use some really, really gorgeous, unique yarns in this shawl. So if you want to see more about all the details, you can check out episode 19. I think I talk about it probably right at the top of the episode, so you can see all about it. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous shawl with some adorable tassels. I'm excited to release it, and I hope people will be interested in knitting it as well. Okay. I don't have any finished objects yet this week, or yet. For today, I have no finished objects. Hold on one second. It's early morning, so I don't know if you've noticed, but like behind me, the wall looks blue. I'm not really sure why, but yeah, it actually looks more blue when my studio lights are off. But it's Saturday morning, and I decided I'm gonna just podcast because I need to run some errands in town and no stores are open. So it seemed a good time to just podcast. Okay, so almost finished object. This is my Humulus sweater, which I did as a part of a cow that I ran and hosted, and I have prizes going out to the finished object thread winner. And here's where I'm at. So I have completed a sleeve, and I am working. Let me turn Martha. Martha's my mannequin. She is my size, and she is wearing the Humulus sweater. So I am I'd say about halfway done with the second sleeve. I go through sleeves really quickly. I think I've said this before. Like I could finish this sleeve tonight or this afternoon maybe. It will go really fast for me. I don't know why, but sleeves, I find them, I like, I like seeing all the progress that you make on sleeves. So you're just knitting a little while and you made inches, you did inches. So I don't know. It's not an issue for me. Yeah, so my first sleeve is done, and I did something different on the sleeve. So not the striping. The striping is actually written into the pattern. I knitted this pattern exactly the way Isabel Kramer. This is an Isabel Kramer pattern, exactly the way she recommended it. The only modification I made was that I didn't make the sleeves as long as she had said. I think because this yoke part is so long on the size that I chose to make, I did not need to knit the sleeves as long as she said. So I did end up shortening it. I was supposed to maybe, according to pattern instructions, go another 2 inches, which just would have been too long. This, as it is, it hits me like right here, right across the top of my hand. What I did do differently with this knit that I have not done before was that I put stitch markers in for every increase. And I'd seen other people do that, and I never really understood why you would do something like that. But I found that it actually helped me knit faster because I wasn't taking time to go back and recount. In the size that I made, she had us increase every 10th row. So I would put the stitch marker on the, or decrease every 10th row. So I put the stitch marker on at the decrease, and then I was able to quickly count the rows each time, as I thought I was getting close. In addition, I was able to quickly count how many times I had increased or decreased. I was supposed to do 9 decreases total, and I was able to count them quickly. When I got to here, I realized that I didn't need to knit very much more to complete the sleeve, so I stepped up the increases, the last 2 increases, to be every 8th row, and then after the last decrease, I went ahead and finished off the knitting of the sleeve. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. I think it's really pretty. So again, like, this is unblocked. All this rumpling and stuff will be gone when I block it. I'm really looking forward to blocking it because this beautiful yarn that I used from Jill Draper Make Stuff will soften in the soak. So I'm excited about that. This was a very easy colorwork sweater. It's probably a pretty good one for your first colorwork sweater. One of the knitters in my knit along, it was her first colorwork sweater and she really enjoyed it. She actually did a little bit of extra colorwork down at the bottom. You can't see it there, but there. As I said, I made the pattern exactly as is. The contrast yarn that I used up here, this pale muted blue, it was a really soft yarn, so I didn't want to have that be my ribbing. So I decided not to do any modifications. But yeah, I think Isabel Kramer's patterns are written well and they're easy to follow, and I would highly recommend it. I have one complaint though, and maybe this will work out in the blocking. I don't like all this blousing in the back. It blouses like this on the back on my body as well. Like I don't have a fat back, and I have like a normal back. I would like to think it's a normal back. I don't really like all of that. Look at all that fullness. In my own patterns, when I knit and create garment patterns, I always make the front bigger than the back. You'll have a higher stitch count in the front of my patterns than you will in the back because I don't like this. Yuck. I remember, so Amy Florence of Stranded Dye Works, I have never said this, so here's my first confession. I've never said this, but she is my all-time favorite podcaster. If she puts something on the web, I don't care what it is, I'm going to watch it. I just find her authenticity amazing, and she's funny just by being herself. I don't think she intends to be funny, but she's humble. I just love her podcast. She's my all-time favorite. Closely followed by Christy Glass, who is very, very close. Tight race there. I like Amy so much that I know she's going to Nashville this week. I was thinking about going down to Nashville just to meet her. But I don't know. Life got in the way and I never managed to book it. But I will see her. She's going to come to Rhinebeck. So I will see her at Rhinebeck because that's close to me and I can make that. I can drive up in an hour and a half or so and be there. So I'm hoping to meet her there. But anyway, she had talked about, I think it was this sweater. She did an Isabel Kramer sweater pattern too, and she talked about the fullness in the back being a problem for her as well. So I should have been aware, and I guess I just wanted to, I really wanted to be true to the pattern and just see how it goes. And I didn't, this is my second Isabel Kramer sweater. The other one that I made, I don't remember this being as big a problem. Yeah, this is really, I hope that goes out in the blocking, at least somewhat. It's yucky. Anyway, that's my gripe about this sweater. I think you could modify that by moving where you divide for sleeves. So this is a top-down knit, so as you come down to the sleeves, you could shift it so that there's more in the front than in the back, especially if you're a bigger busted woman. Like, here's my problem with so many knitwear designers, and I'm sure like this is probably a problem. So here's my second confession. Have you noticed like the popular knitwear designers are thin? They are skinny people. They don't have any extra up front or in the back, it seems. They're just really, they're beautiful women, but they're not my body type. And that's a problem for me. Like, it's a problem for me with Caitlin Hunter too. She's a very small woman and she designs for herself. Like, let's face it, we all design for our own bodies. Pretty much. I mean, I think it takes, like, professional designers are aware of other body types and will usually take that into consideration. I know I had to do that over and over and over again when I was in the industry, in the garment industry. I'm a former knitwear designer for new viewers, and I worked on 7th Avenue in a beautiful office overlooking 7th Avenue, actually. It was really pretty, but it was very, very stressful. And yeah, I can go on and on for days about what it was like to work in that industry. I loved it. I hated it. That's probably the best way to do it, to say it. So yeah, I think it's natural to sort of design for your own body type. And certainly when we're looking at the pictures of new patterns when they come out, they're on the designers usually. So it's hard to imagine, if you're a completely different body type, how that sweater is going to look on you. And I don't love Caitlin Hunter's specs. I find her specs a little, like, there's some awkwardness, and Ellie of Skein Your Knits podcast has talked about it. There's some awkwardness in the increases, which I don't find with Jennifer Steingass's colorwork sweaters or with Isabel Kramer's colorwork sweaters. So yeah, so that's something that I always consider. I'm not jumping up and down to knit the Zwag for that reason, for the awkwardness in the yoke that I've seen on other people's knits. And I'm a body type that I don't think I can just knitting fabric, making knit fabric's very forgiving, but I don't think for my body type, for my shoulders, I'm broad up here, and then very narrow here, and then I have, hourglass. I'm hourglass shape. So having fabric that has to pull up here to fit over my shoulders and then also fit across my bust line is just not going to work for me. It just will look so crappy. It'll look like a poor fitting sweater. So not interested in knitting that. I mean, she's learning, right? So she's learning about her knits. I'm drinking coffee, by the way, in a really cute Pendleton. It is Pendleton, right? Yeah, Pendleton mug from my brother's shop in Cooperstown, New York. My brother's shop is Riverwood. Yeah, get a lot of Pendleton because they sell Pendleton. They sell a lot of Pendleton. So if you're into baseball and you go to the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York, my brother's store is right there, right down the street from the Hall of Fame. One of the few non-baseball shops. Tangents. Maybe I should call this episode Tangents. Anyway, that is my Humulus sweater. Let me talk to you about the yarns. I rattled on about the pattern because I do actually think it's important to hear about the pattern. I realize that a lot of times when I'm talking about my knits, when I'm knitting, I'm not really talking about the pattern too much. I did really enjoy this, and other than the back issue, because there's not as much fullness across the front like as there is in the back. I'm not getting those ripples. Anyway, I've already been down that path, Shannon. Keep going. All right, this is the yarn that I used. It is called Jill Draper Make Stuff. This is her Rockwell base. It is a 3-ply yarn, a 3 DK weight. This color is called Brownstone. Let me show you the label. Rockwell base, color called Brownstone. It is, I used 5 skeins. I bought 5 skeins. Gosh darn it. Can you focus? What are you focusing on besides the label? Because the label's right in front of you right now, lady. Oh my goodness. Okay, camera problems. There we go. 100% Cormo Merino crossbred. It is a sheep to skein operation. So yeah, there you go. That was that yarn. I bought it at Brooklyn General Store. It was on sale, practically half price. Very good deal, I felt. Yeah, 5 skeins. This is I have, I only have the sleeve left, half of the sleeve left, and this is what I have, a ton. This is practically a full skein. And I am alternating skeins, so I do have a little bit of another skein. The blue is Plucky Knitter's yarn. It is snug worsted weight. It is called Cold as Ice, and it is a merino cashmere alpaca blend. And this is the skein of the blue yarn. I probably used a little less than half a skein. I do need a tiny bit, maybe a yard, to knit the other sleeve, the sleeve trim. That one row. This is one row just before the ribbing, one row of the contrast blue. So yeah, that is my Humulus sweater, and that is Martha wearing it. I may shift the camera now a little bit more towards me. There we go. So this has occupied a lot of my time, a lot of my knitting time over the past couple weeks. I do have one other work in progress. This is a mystery knit along by Ysolda Teague. It is called the Gloamin' Tide shawl. She started releasing the clues on June 25th, and it is 6 clues all the way through the month of July, I think. 6 clues, whatever, six Mondays, 6 Mondays in a row. So the second clue was released this past Monday. I haven't had a chance to knit it yet. I think I'm probably gonna knit on this tomorrow, or this will be priority. I want to finish this sleeve right here. So if I finish this sleeve, I will move on to clue 2 of the Gloamin' Tide shawl. So if you are also knitting this and you don't want to be spoiled, if you have not yet finished clue 1, you may want to look away. So I'm going to just show you my progress, and then I am going to talk to you about the yarns. So here's my progress. You start down here. You start here at this point, and I chose to use the darkest color. You can either use your darkest or lightest color. You're supposed to do a 3 color, what did she call it? Subtle gradient. But yeah, it's cool. It's a cool pattern. There's a little bit of a mix of these holy sections, and you can see some slip stitches are in there too. Using the lightest color, which I'm going to talk to you about my yarns in a sec. And then there's some more lace work here. And then a whole lot of garter. So it's mixed up between a whole lot of garter and some lace and novelty stitches. So yeah, this has been a fun knit. For my first clue, I did not look at any I didn't look at any any other people, like people knit this very quickly. They knit clue one within a day, a couple people. And I didn't look at all. I didn't want it spoiled for me. But I have to say, like, doing that, I ended up like knitting and ripping out a lot because I was just making stuff up. I was just looking at the pattern and not really reading the whole thing and just making shit up. And then ripping back because realizing that I hadn't really paid much attention. So if you were looking away, you can look back now. I am going to talk to you about the yarns. I want to show you my swatch, which I think I have here. Yes. Okay, this is my swatch. So remember she said subtle gradients. There we go. Those are my 3 colors. Nice subtle gradient, right? This one here, my lightest color is a Garn Story color grunge. The one in the center is Ulan Knits, an Irish indie dyer called Quarry. And then the last one over here is a Voolenvine yarn called Can't Stop, Won't Stop. And these are all singles. The pattern was written for singles, and I have said this before that I find that singles are kind of drapey and not so good for garments unless you really want a lot of drape in your garments. So I tried not to use singles in garments. So when a shawl comes along and I want to knit it, I often try to use singles because drape with singles is quite nice. So yeah, those are my colors and my yarns, and I'll have all of that on screen. I probably already put it on by now. So that's been my other knit that I've been working on the past couple weeks. I do have a couple other works in progress that I have not yet done any work on. One is the Marmaluker little knit booty shorts, which I'm super excited to have done. I can see myself making, it's a 2-skein pattern, and it's done out of a sport weight yarn, and I don't have it to show because I haven't made any progress. I've knit only about that much of the waistband, and it has an 8-inch waistband that you fold down. So yeah, I'm hoping that'll be the thing I'll go back to because it is rather mindless. It's rather mindless knitting. So I will go back to that when I finish this rather mindless knitting right here on the sleeve of the last sleeve of this. So I always like to have something mindless on the needle. It helps me. Knitting while I'm reading papers is, I find very, I find it helps me concentrate on what I'm reading and keeps me from clicking away when I get bored with papers that I'm reading, which I do. I get restless. I read about 6 or 7 papers and then I need a break. But if I'm knitting, I can usually press on through and read. Then I can double that. I can reach about 15 before I'm just like, okay, really need a break now. So yeah, that's what I've been knitting on. I have, oh my goodness, so many new things to show you and to talk to you about. I got some new stuff, and I actually have a lot of yarn coming because I wanted to participate in the Tits Out Collective that was organized by Countess Ablaze, an indie dyer in England. And if you're not familiar with her story, you can find it in the blog, which I will link in my show notes. You can find a blog about it. And she's also posted quite a lot on Instagram about it. And basically over 250 makers participated. The gist of it is that she has a story as to why she did this, but she released a colorway to the public so that indie dyers could take her formula and make their own version of her yarn for charity, for benefits. And all of the yarns were released on July 1st. So it was super exciting. I have been on a yarn diet pretty much, like not wanting to buy any. I have plenty of yarn behind me. I probably have about, I don't have a lot as many people. I know some people really have way more than I do. Like Christy Glass talks about having close to 1,000 skeins on hand. I don't have nearly that many. I probably have about 200 or so, maybe a little bit more, but around 200 skeins of yarn, which is plenty of yarn. It's probably enough for me to knit over the rest of this year and all of next year without me ever having to buy anything. And I do have plans for 3 more knitwear designs, and I have that yarn with me. I mean, I have it on hand, so I just need to make time to actually do some designing and knit my samples. And I have many other. I'm a person who because I've been designing knits since I was 20 years old, and I'm in my 50s now, so it's a long, long time. I don't have any trouble coming up with knit designs. I don't draw block. There's no such thing as designer's block for me. I have more things I have more things drawn and planned than I could possibly make. Probably if I lived to be 100. I'll have more ideas as I come. For me, it's always a choice as I grow. For me, it's always a choice of which of the many things that I want to make can I make, and I think that's just practice. I think it's just like learning where you draw inspiration from and being aware of your inspiration coming, and also putting things down on paper. So I have a pretty extensive sketchbook and sketch method that when I think of something, I draw it out and I get excited about it, and then I want to cast it on. But I don't cast on everything, and I don't knit everything that I want to. So is that my third confession? I think that might be my third, or tangent. Confession, tangent. We're kind of, interchangeable. So I'm going to start with, many of you know from, if you're a returning viewer, you know from watching me in previous episodes that I won a giveaway for Garn Story, Garn Story is one of my favorite indie dyers. So I won a 4-skein giveaway from that Garn Story did on Instagram, and it was one of those where you just tag a friend and you say your favorite color. And I love her yarns. I'm using them all the time. I have a pretty nice amount of her yarn in my yarn library that I draw from, and I just love her eye for color and the way she combines color. So anyway, I won 4 skeins of this. I could pick the base that I wanted. I chose her DK base because I'm really loving DK bases for sweaters, and hoping to design a couple. Actually, I have a sport weight sweater that is coming out this fall, and I have another DK weight sweater that I hope to also release this winter. And this is going to be a design too. I wasn't planning to, I don't feel compelled to only make my designs. I like to do other people's designs too. I am sort of a knitwear designer by sometimes by creative impulse, but sometimes also out of creative necessity. So what I mean by that is so for this yarn came, and I asked Anke, I think that's what you pronounce it, I'm not sure, Anke? I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, but this yarn came. I didn't choose the color. I chose for her to give me what she was calling her surprise color for the pre-order that she had. So this was the color I got. Let me show you a couple skeins together, because I think it's, when you're looking at indie dyed yarn, it's kind of nice to see skeins together so you can kind of see the variation. She named it La Boom, which is cool. Pop. It's sort of like a firecracker color. But it's a beautiful summer to, I would say late summer to fall sweater color. And I got this yarn, and I immediately thought like a slouchy cardigan would be really cool out of this. So I went on to Ravelry and I looked to see what patterns for slouchy DK weight sweaters there were, and I found plenty of slouchy fingering weight patterns. And I thought to myself, well, I could take one of those patterns. Like a Cloud by Joji, I love it. It's beautiful. I thought that style, like something like that style in this yarn would be really pretty. And there was nothing. So I thought, well, I could take that style, for instance, and modify it, but then why? I will just do my own. Then I also realized that 4 skeins was not going to be enough for the length of sweater that I wanted to have. And so I ordered 2 more skeins of DK weight yarn in a complimentary color, I hope. It's coming. I actually ordered it from Countess Ablaze because while I was poking around, looking at the Tits Out collective, I saw that she had some pretty yarn that I thought would be really a tonal that would be really complimentary to this very bright, colorful yarn. So I'm going to do a DK weight slouchy cardigan pattern using this yarn plus a second color. And yeah, I'll share more as it goes. I may cast that on right away. I have a feeling that's going to be kind of a dumb knit or a mindless knit. Once I get past I'm going to do top down. So once I get past the yoke, I think it'll be pretty quick. And so my other acquisitions, I'm going to show you some acquisitions, and then I'm going to talk to you about the yarns that I bought for the Tits Out collection. My sister went to Bermuda, and she knows me well and always brings me back little yarny goodies. So this was what I got from her trip to Bermuda. There are no sheep on Bermuda, so I think this is an English brand, Patons Eco Wool Chunky, but it's a beautiful variegated, let me see if I can tell you the color name. Yeah, it's a UK based. It is 100% wool. It's a kind of got a rustic hand. It's a single ply, and yeah, I think it'll make a really cute hat. Nice pale pastel. I tend to make hats out of the single skeins that I get. And what else did I get yarn-wise? So let me talk to you about the Tits Out collective. I ordered from 6 different yarn dyers. I partly wanted to share in the donations that were being done. The indie dyers could choose whatever charity that they wanted to donate to, and they could also choose the amount. Countess Ablaze did dictate a minimum amount, but indie dyers could choose to donate more. So what I did was I went through the collective list and selected a bunch of yarns that I liked and yarns that I wanted to purchase. And I ended up with 6. So the 6, some of them were new to me. I'm going to try to remember all the ones that I bought from. I did a pre-order with La Bien Aimée, and I do have some of her yarn. I showed it last week, and I showed my plans for it. I am going to, having said that I don't like Caitlin Hunter's specs, I am doing this Caitlin Hunter pattern. I think she's getting better with her specs. I'm doing one of her most recent releases, and I talked about it in my last episode, so I'm not going to talk about it now, and I will talk about it again as I knit it. So I'm going to actually postpone casting that on for a little bit. I'll probably cast it on in August sometime. Definitely won't be casting it on now. But anyway, I bought some La Bien Aimée. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. I bought 2 skeins of a fingering weight yarn as well as her Kid Silk Mohair in her Tits Out collective color, which I don't remember her colorway name exactly. So I bought that. I also pre-ordered from Stitch Together Studio, another one of my favorite indie dyers. So I did a pre-order from her. And I'll show you those when they come. I ordered from Desert Bloom Yarns, which I have not received yet. I also ordered from, that's 3. I have 2 sitting here on my lap. So what are the other, don't remember. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to show you my, this is a new to me dyer. It's called Serial Knitters, and this is her colorway. She called it If I Want Exposure, I'll Get My Tits Out Ga. I just really loved the muddiness. I'm not a huge pink fan, and a lot of the colors were pink. So I loved the muddiness of this particular skein. So not sure what I'm going to do with any of these. These are just going to go into my library of yarns. But this was a new to me dyer at that whose work I really liked. Another new to me designer, dyer is Molly Klein Designs, and she called this is just her Tits Out Collective on her Sweet Sock base. It's a merino nylon. This is pretty typical of the colors that were in most of the, there's her tag, Sweet Tea Yarns, Molly Klein Design on Etsy.com. And I looked like these lesser known indie dyers, they, I was just gonna see if that's her tag. They still have yarn left. I was looking earlier because I was trying to remember who the dyers were donating to. Yeah, I don't recall. I know Molly Klein was donating to ASPCA. Oh, this one, the Serial Knitters. This is the donation went to Planned Parenthood, which I really wanted to support. Voulin Vine also did a Planned Parenthood donation, but her yarn sold out in seconds. I also tried to get Stranded Dye Works. Hers sold out in, I don't even know, less than a minute. It was less than a minute. I didn't end up getting any of Amy's yarn either. So those were two that I tried for that I was not able to get. But that's okay. That's okay. It happens. So I think I ordered a total of 9 skeins. So I've got 2 of the 9 coming. From Desert Bloom Yarns, which is another new to me indie dyer. She's in Arizona. I ordered 2 of her skeins because they were a merino silk blend, and I thought they would make a nice tinga. Or Tinya from Caitlin Hunter. Now, I was not going to make, I was not looking for a new cast on, but between Christy Glass and Amy Florence on Stranded, they both did tingas, or Amy's actually in the midst of doing one. And the person who actually really convinced me was Katie from Inside Number 23 podcast. She is wearing, or was wearing in her last, not this last, but the 2 episodes ago, she was wearing a dark green version of the tanga. And she's got a curvy body type, and it looked cute on her. So I thought, yeah, why not? Why not? It's cool. And it's a 2 skein design, 2 skeins of fingering weight design, which I have a lot of 2 skeins. So I thought, why not? Why not? So because I have bought so much yarn, I'm not planning to buy any more yarn for a long while. Other than I do really want some little gray sheep yarn. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. I probably will make a design of my own out of it. But so that's on my radar. But other than that, and I look at her site every once in a while just to see if there's a color that I like, because she's putting up new stuff all the time. And yeah, and when the right color appears on her website and that aligns with me having the money in my bank account to buy it, I will purchase Little Gray Sheep. But really don't think I need to buy any more yarn for the rest of this year and probably part of next. I do have a couple other stash acquisitions. I bought these from Shelly Ken, these enamel skull pins. They're silver colored. Maybe I should take it out so you can see better. I bought them she put these out as a donation, another like where part of the profits or all of the profits were being donated to with the situation that's going down in Texas, where immigrant families are being separated. So she was, if you bought the pins, she was, don't look at my nails. I'm having fingernail polish issues right now. But anyway, she was releasing these as, to help to donate to, organizations that are trying to reunite families on the border. Yeah. So I'm almost done here. This is another stash acquisition. This is from Home Row Fiber Company, a little Notions pouch, and I absolutely adore this little pouch. It is perfect for like yarn needles and my yarn scissors and stuff, my snips to take along. And I've been keeping it nice so I can show you, but I'm ready to use it. It's just really handy. And the last acquisition I got was I got a new Vogue knitting magazine. And yeah, I love this sweater on the cover. I have way too many things to cast on though, so I don't know if I am going to. There's some beautiful, beautiful sweaters. Look at the jewel tones in here. Really pretty. I love the, this one. I love this magenta one. It's really nice. So that was the last of my acquisitions. And now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about sewing because I have a work in progress with sewing. I am making a dress. I have showed you this book in the past. This is 26 Patterns by Santo Wantabe. I actually was noticing that this was published in 2005, so this is like over a decade old book. But I had purchased this beautiful linen. Let me show it to you this way. This beautiful linen from Conscious Clothing Company from a D-Stash on their Etsy site. And yeah, it's really nice. It's nice and lightweight. I love to wear linen dresses. This is my third linen dress that I've made this summer. I love to wear linen dresses in the hot weather. Linen is just really cooling, and I actually thought I was gonna make some pants out of this instead, but I don't know, inspiration struck me a couple days ago, and I decided to go ahead and make this pattern. So let me show you what the dress looks like. Everything in this book is black. All of the patterns are black, but so I've decided to do this dress right here. It's a tiered skirt with tucks all the way down. Let me show you the line drawing of it. Hang on, here it is. Here it is, so you can get an idea. And you can stop the tiers at any point. I don't know how long I'm going to make it. I cut out 8 tiers. I am going to be sewing on this later today. I'll probably finish it today or tomorrow. It's it's pretty fast. It looks like a pretty fast sew. The thing about these book patterns, like you can find this book on Amazon. The thing about these patterns is that the pattern pieces are printed on one sheet front and back. And what you have to do is trace off your size and onto pattern paper. And then I talked about this in my last episode a little bit, and then add the seam allowance and all of that, and then proceed with cutting the pattern. So that's kind of a long, clunky process. I devised a way though yesterday of doing it in a simple way. I really am missing my light box. I used to have a light box that would sit on the desktop, a big, massive one that sat on my desk, the top of my desk when I was in the garment industry, because we were tracing a lot of things all the time. And especially for knit patterns, I did a lot of color work sweaters for the last company that I worked for, and we were tracing over patterns to get the color work graph done properly frequently. And anyway, I missed my light box, but I remembered that you can use a window, and I'm lucky that I have a really, really big window. So I'm going to flash a picture up here on screen showing you what I did, how I traced off the patterns. And luckily for that dress pattern, that was a pretty simple pattern. I only needed to cut out the top. I only had to trace off the top of the dress, and then the rest of it was just straight strips. I did make patterns for all those strips. I did make pattern pieces for all those strips. And the other thing I did was I did modify the bodice. I made it a little longer because having a bigger bust line, I'm a G. Yeah, I'm a G cup, which is like D times 6. Basically. So having that much volume, much more volume than say this model here, who's probably about a B cup. What happens is that the fabric has, the waistline was going to fall about here, about just under my low bust. So I lengthened it by about 2.5 inches to get it down to my bra line. Yeah, so I did that small modification, and then I measured what I wanted the skirt to be, and it turned out that 8 tiers was, I think, is going to be about right. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, so that's my work in progress. Here's my last confession about sewing. I know some of my returning viewers were really invested and interested in seeing my Mother of the Groom dress, and I had promised some pictures of it. I didn't talk too much about it because I had a really bad experience in Mexico and at the resort, and I mostly blame the hotel, but to be frank, like, my son owns some of the responsibility too, and it was really just not a good experience. Right now, my son and daughter-in-law are not talking to me. They blame me for some of the stuff that went down, and most of the stuff that went down, it really centered around the costs of the hotel, and the hotel was inflexible with me, and it wasn't even my room. My room was fine. It was my son's room, and not the groom, but one of my younger sons wanted his own room, and the way the booking was made, that was just it became like such a hassle, and the booking was done incorrectly, and it wasn't my fault or my son's fault, and I was asking the hotel to make a modification to the booking, and it just became this big drama, and I uncovered some stuff that I didn't intend to. I sort of opened some Pandora's boxes that I didn't intend to open. And I was just trying to get what I thought was even a good price. I just wanted what I asked for. And I'm still in the midst of working out that dispute with the hotel. My bank has been amazing with helping me with that. So I'm telling you all of this not to complain, but just because I know that you want to see pictures of that dress, and I would love to show you, but I haven't been able to bring myself to look at pictures even of the event because it was just fraught with so much anxiety and tension on my part. So I'll show you at some point when I can put this behind me, but like even today I need to go down to the bank to work on some stuff with them for the dispute, and I am not looking forward to that, and I just really want it all to just be taken care of. And yeah, it's not been fun. It just hasn't. It's not been a fun thing, and yeah. So that's my last confession for this podcast, and this is one of my longest episodes in a long time. I didn't intend it to be long. I knew I had a lot to show you though, and I'm hoping to podcast next weekend. I think I should be fine. I don't have any plans to travel or anything. So I hope to catch up with you again next weekend. I'll have more progress to show you on my Gloam and Tide shawl. I might have progress on some of my other 2 works in progress, and certainly this thing will be finished and blocked, and maybe I'll even wear it if it's not too hot. So thank you for joining me for this podcast. If you could please like my this episode and subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. That would really help my small channel grow. And I appreciate your time, and I look forward to talking with you more next week. And comment. I read all my comments, all comments made to me. I respond back to all of them. I'm not bombarded by a lot of comments, so it's really nice to be able to read what you think about what I'm talking about. And yeah, I will see you. Enjoy your weekend, and I will see you next time. Bye.